I think that a lot of people know the term editor in chief, but maybe don't actually know sort of what your job actually entails. Can you give us kind of a quick idea of what it is that you do?
Sure. Maybe I'm not sure too sure myself what I do, but I guess mostly I'm responsible for it all, really. Like I have editors under me, and they're each responsible for their series, but I guess I'm more responsible for the whole thing. Also, communications with the Shonen Jump in Japan. I do that as well. I think that's actually kind of a major component of what I do. Um, wow. Yeah, I guess, and then if there's any problems, then it's my fault, right? On both ends, from the licensor side as well as, you know, from the fans or whatever, or even internally here at the company, then I take the blame. So I guess I'm the fall guy.
Gotcha. Well, sometimes great heroes have to be fall guys, right?
Sure.
So have you always been into like manga and anime?
Um, Mostly manga. I'm more of a manga guy than an anime person. But yeah, I guess I've read manga since I've been a kid. Um,
What were some of your favorites?
I grew up reading like Doraemon and Sazae-san and kind of those kid manga type things. I grew up here. I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and there wasn't a lot of Japanese material around. So my parents would go to a public library in Oakland, which had a lot of Japanese books and things, and I would go there and they'd like check out novels and things like that, but I'd be in the manga section.
Ha.
So yeah.
So, I wanted to know, you were talking about Shonen Jump, obviously in Japan. Is there ever times where stuff comes over and it's either drawn or written in a way that just wouldn't translate to America, and you guys have change?
Um, we uh, we try not to change anything, and I think most things would translate. But if something would not, then kind of what we've been doing the past year, 2 years actually, since we've gone digital, is we'll put a note or something like that to explain something that is inexplicable, I guess, so to speak. Yeah.
So is it easier to manage a manga that's been around for like a decade rather than one that's brand new, or are they kind of the same? What kind of challenges does each present?
You mean kind of like Naruto or One Piece, as opposed to one of our newer series like Wolf Trigger or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Um, that's an interesting question. I think I'd say a newer one is easier. You don't have to worry about continuity. Um, that's a bit. That's I guess that's the major thing, the continuity. Um, with the new series, I guess you don't know if it's going to take or not. So that's an issue right there.
We're both huge Dragon Ball Z fans, and
Okay.
we were really excited that you guys over there are doing the colorized version of
Right.
Dragon Ball Z. But I wanted to know, you guys have a ton of great series over the years. If you think this is purely just a what if type thing, but if they could take one of your like classic series and actually restart it again, like with the same people who collaborating and writing and drawing, what do you think would do the best?
You mean, and then so bring it back as a continuation of,
Exactly. What do you think the
and
fans
then
would want the most or buy the most?
what would the fans want the most? That's an interesting question. um, wow, what would the fans want the most? I guess it also depends on which which section of the fans you're talking about. Um, I mean, Dragon Ball is like a huge series, right? So that's possibly one. Um, Maybe that would be my answer, Dragon Ball. My personal answer would be Slam Dunk, I think.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
we love Slam Dunk. Totally, totally. We interviewed a basketball player once and asked him if he had seen Slam Dunk before, and told him he had to watch it.
A U.S. basketball player?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
NBA basketball player.
Okay.
It was pretty funny.
I assume he had not. Is that
No, he hadn't, but he was really excited. He like wrote it down. He's like, I have to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's probably our favorite slice of life anime.
Yeah, I
would
think so.
Yeah, great.
So how do you think that that Shonen Jump is run in comparison to something like DC or Marvel?
Um, let's see. So the way um, for us specifically, so DC and Marvel, they deal with creating completely new content, right? And then for us, we're dealing with content that was created in Japan, and basically we're localizing it. So I'm not sure if you're asking about us, or maybe if you're asking about perhaps editorial in Japan.
You know, I guess a little of both. You know, obviously,
Yeah.
like you said, for what you guys do, it's dealing with the Japanese content. Do you know, like in Japan, would it be a lot more similar to what they do in at like Marvel and DC?
I think the way Japan creates their manga is pretty unique. Um, the relationships in Japan with the editor and the creators are well, I guess the only way I could describe it is crazy, right? Like the editors do anything they can for the manga artists. Um, they also, on a professional level, I guess they consult with the story and advise in that aspect. But I think they also take care of anything else that needs to be done, really. So I imagine maybe over here, like with Marvel and DC, it's more kind of professional. But in Japan, I think it's just editor and manga artists are just intertwined.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So I want to know, one of the things I love is you guys always have really great covers for Weekly Shonen Jump. So I guess I have two questions. The first off is, do you guys always go with the cover that they pick in Japan, or is there sometimes differences? And if there are, how do you guys pick what cover or what character you're going to put on the cover?
Right. So when we can, we'll use what Weekly Shonen Jump in Japan used. And we only do a portion of the series that they do in Japan. So oftentimes, if the Japanese cover features a series that we don't do, then obviously we can't put that on the cover. When that happens, then we have a choice of basically whatever kind of artwork we can scrap together. And we try to make it content specific. Also, we can't do anything where the artwork has to be pretty recent, so it matches up. Yeah, that's about it, I think. Sometimes we can do a variation of what they did in Japan. Particularly with the year-end issues or the beginning issues, in Japan they'll often have kind of composite covers where they'll have like all the characters from all the series in one big. I'm not sure the word's not coming out, but where all the characters are on the cover there. We'll only be able to do the series that we do. So we'll create a variation of what they did in Japan.
What series would you say that you guys are currently receiving the most fan mail for?
Fan mail. Fan mail I'll take to be kind of like comments.
Yeah.
Comments or like Twitter, like social media comments and things like that as well. Of course, Naruto and One Piece, they're like big draws. Our newer series too, actually, I think we get a lot of comments for. So like One Punch Man, World Trigger, those kind of get a lot of buzz. So yeah.
So you were mentioning that sometimes there's a series that they're doing in Japan that we're not doing here. How do you decide which ones which ones to pull and when to put them out here?
How do we decide what series that we're going to use?
Yeah.
Um, Most of our lineup was kind of decided when we started the digital version of Jump 2 years ago. And so at the time, we selected basically anything that was currently running in Weekly Shonen Jump that we were doing. Um, so basically anything that we could go simultaneous with, or at the time it was near simultaneous with, we would do.
Okay.
That's how the initial series were chosen. After that, we selected new series that were coming up. And that's kind of like one of my favorite parts of the job, because I get a peek and a very early look into things that are new. And basically, at the time, myself and Sasaki-san in Japan, who is the former editor-in-chief, we kind of discuss the new series, if it would work here, things like that.
So, we're really excited about this upcoming year for Weekly Shonen Jump 2014. Is there? Can you give us a hint of some cool stuff we might be seeing?
Can I give you a hint of some cool stuff? Let's see. We definitely want to add some new things. So something new will be coming very soon. Very, very soon. But for various reasons, I can't really say right now. But very soon. And then I think we're also, hopefully this year, we're going to do some big changes in many aspects of the magazine. And basically, we just want more people to read, putting out, so we just want to make that easier for everybody.
So we go to a lot of conventions, and shonen properties are hugely cosplayed.
Yep.
Have you ever cosplayed?
Have I ever cosplayed? I don't think that I have. No. Yeah.
If you were going to, what shonen character would you be?
If I were going to cosplay, what shonen player would I be? Let's see. Wow. Let me think here. Long pause.
We're putting you on the spot.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with we also have a podcast that we put out every week, which discusses the issues. And I often do this. Like, I'm on the podcast with a bunch of guys, a bunch of editors here, and they'll be talking, there'll be questions from the comments and things, and there'll be a question, and then it'll come to me, and I'll just be kind of like, and then, yeah. I will say, so I don't want to say something boring, right? Like Naruto or Luffy or something like that. I'll just say Kon from Bleach.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
That's a fun one. So throughout your time reading mangas, what character do you think that you relate the most to?
What character do I relate the most to? Let me think about this. What character do I relate the most to? There's I think there's so many characters around, and I think all of them have some aspect, right, that the reader can relate to, and that's why we really get into the manga. What character can I relate to? Shall I say? Maybe I'll say Hanamichi Sakuragi. Sakuragi,
Yeah.
Only in the aspect of dating. In my younger years.
And you're a genius, and you can spin a ball around you really quickly.
Not the basketball playing aspect, but yeah.
That's awesome. Well, now I remember what I want to ask you. Now I know obviously as editor in chief, you spend a lot of time reading this stuff, and you spend a lot of time with not a lot of free time because you're so busy. But are there any of these mangas that you like actually read for pleasure? Actually, a fan of them?
Um, any of the manga that I'm actually a fan. Well, it's kind of interesting because I've been working at Viz for 12, 13 years. And when I first started, it was amazing, right? Because I was like, dude, I'm getting paid to read manga. It was so awesome. And then I guess after time, kind of like work and pleasure kind of just meld. Um, so my wife actually thinks I'm a workaholic because I'm reading all this manga all the time, but probably about, I don't know, three-fourths of it I don't have to read.
Ah,
So this is kind of a rambling answer, and I forgot what the original question was, but yes, I do read manga for pleasure. Or maybe you're asking some specifics.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
If
specific
there's any
examples.
specifically that you just like you yourself are a fan of,
Sure,
out aside from you being the editor in chief.
sure. Slam Dunk is I think is the best manga ever. Um, Hikaru no Go I was really into. Bakuman. Before I was editor in chief, I was always reading Bakuman, and actually before I was editor in chief, I was not part of the Shonen Jump team, and so but I would still read Bakuman every week because it was just awesome.
It's awesome.
So we were having a discussion the other day about people like a lot of people are kind of hesitant to start getting into manga or anime or anything like that. What do you think are some good mangas to sort of, I don't know, ease people into it in a way? You know, people that might be hesitant, people that, something for maybe people that are into comic books and something that for people that are, just not really into comic books or manga, but a good way to sort of introduce them to manga.
Sure. Um, so I'm gonna like kind of diverge from the Shonen Jump stuff, but I think a lot of the regular comics is a weird way to say it, but the American comic readers, I think there's a lot of fans that come from the American comic readers of Urasawa. So things like Pluto, Monster. I think there's some kind of chord that American comic readers have with Urasawa's works. Um, Vagabond, Takehiko Inoue. I think that would be like a very American comic type of fan would could easily digest that. I think. Um, Dragon Ball, right? That's like so easy to get into. I think for anybody.
Uh, do you go to any of the conventions?
I do. Yeah. So San Diego Comic Con. I didn't go to New York Comic Con this year. Anime Expo. Pretty much the major ones. I think I've been going to. Yeah.
So this is sort of an odd question. This is I like to ask what if questions. I don't know why.
Sure.
It's just part of. I grew up reading those Marvel what if comic books.
The what if books. Yeah.
Exactly. But if you could take I would say outside of you being the editor in chief, maybe just as a fan, if you could take one of the shonen comics and turn it into like a big movie. Well, I guess I should ask this carefully. I would say a big American movie because a lot of them do end up becoming movies in Japan. A lot of mangas do. What would you pick? And it's okay to say Slam Dunk because I know you like Slam Dunk a lot.
If I were to pick a shonen series and turn it into a Hollywood movie.
Yes.
Okay.
And assume that
let's
they would
see.
not ruin it.
Yeah. Shonen movie. A Hollywood movie that they would not ruin.
Yes.
Um,
Let's say like Peter Jackson or somebody like James Cameron that actually cares about the
Right.
story.
Death Note might be kind of awesome.
Totally.
So by Hollywood movie, I guess by definition they would kind of westernize it, right? That would be the
let's
assumption.
hope that they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Let's take it as though the person that was making it had a love and respect for the material, for the source material.
A beautiful utopian world where they wouldn't do that.
Death Note. I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on this, so let's just leave it at Death Note.
It's a good choice.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought too, since we were talking about Slam Dunk, I always thought that Slam Dunk, they could actually, in a way, translate that to a television show. Like, I feel like if any show, like an American TV show they could make of it, Slam Dunk would be one of them that they could do, since it is so much more in the real world than a lot of other manga and anime that I've seen.
Right. Actually, I think more than Hollywood movies, I think manga series would translate better to cable TV series.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like something comparable to like The Walking Dead or something like that.
That's a great point.
Okay, let me ask you a question that Dave always loves to ask. Who would win in a fight, Goku or Superman?
Goku, I'll say.
Yeah.
Back up your answer.
His power is limitless. Anime, okay?
It's true.
It's limitless.
Depends on the phase of the moon.
Ah,
There you go.
good
there you
answer.
Go. Great. Well, I think
that's-
we're pretty all set. Andy, thank you so much for taking this time to speak to us. Is there anything else you want to tell us about Shonen Jump before we get going?
I think I mentioned it before, but we're gonna make some changes to Jump, so hopefully more people can read and enjoy, and yeah, please keep reading.
Awesome. Well, Andy, thank you so much for taking this time. We had a great time talking to you. Keep up the great work. We love Weekly Shonen Jump.
Yeah, and maybe we'll see you at Anime Expo or Comic-Con this year.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, you have a great day, okay? And thanks again.
Thanks. You guys too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.